push it that way so Lisa can...
Hey, we're back. I don't know what's going on tonight. We got plenty of strength, but anyway, we hope y'all stuck around. Don't know what happened.
Yeah, we're going to give it a second and let everybody reconnect and reshare.
Amazing.
That's because we have great information.
That's
tonight.
what this is. This is the first time, and we've
time.
been doing this since last year that we have ever
Appreciate y'all sticking
had
around.
an issue.
Seriously, I don't know what the issue is tonight with this information, with the technology tonight. We're not doing anything differently, but apparently they don't want y'all to get this information tonight.
Which makes me, thank you guys for coming right on.
Yeah, thank y'all, seriously.
And when you get on, please reshare this video. Thank you
please
guys so
reshare.
much.
I don't know what happened, but this is part 2, and I'll make sure I put that on there next time. Part 2. I just want to get back on. I ain't writing nothing on there. I really, really appreciate y'all coming back on.
They're
Seriously.
coming back on. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Because it wasn't our fault.
Thank you guys. Hey y'all,
Yeah,
we're
I'm gonna go
here.
ahead and finish
Thank
my
you.
thought. Thank y'all. Let me go ahead and finish my thought. What I was saying earlier when Tracy mentioned
how would you describe yourself?
how would you describe yourself? And I was saying prior to the broadcast getting kicked off, one of the things that I've always said from a male perspective is that women sometimes don't know the right questions to ask.
Wow.
And I'm saying this tonight for women as well as men. One of the main questions that you may want to start putting in your repertoire of questions, is that the right word?
That is
I'm just kidding.
This is good.
Is what Tracy just mentioned. Describe yourself. Tell me who you are. And that would probably help you to see if a person is healthy or unhealthy. Because if I can't describe who I am, then that says that you're going to be dealing with a fake person.
Whoa.
Because if I can't tell you who I am, and listen, and tell you with substance,
right,
then that may be a good indicator that you're going to be dealing with somebody who has no direction, no vision for their own lives.
Wow.
And so if a person does not have vision for their own lives, they definitely can't help you with yours.
that's good.
Dr. T, and that's great. So when you're saying, you're asking us to describe ourselves, and I'm giving everybody time to kind of log back on as well. And just for a recap, because I know we have to post this from the beginning here. So let me just recap. Tonight, we're talking about loving the hell out of myself.
Right.
And what we've decided is that we're recognizing the inner demons that lie on the inside of all of us. And we're realizing that it's hard to try to foster a healthy relationship with somebody else when there are some unresolved issues on the inside of us. And so what we decided, we had 3 things that we talked about, that 3 reasons why people won't work on themselves first. And the recap is deflection. We deflect it when there are triggers, things that come on us that make us have to deal with the issue. What we'll do is we'll make it about something else so that we don't have to deal with it, or somebody else so we don't have to deal with it. Our second D was denial. We'll flat out act like we don't have a problem. What's wrong with you? You're always getting angry. No, not. We're just denying and say that's not true. And then the third thing is debate. We'll have excuses for, hey, you're always mad. Well, I'm mad. Yeah, I might be, but it's really because you made me mad. So those 3 things, and we're trying to give, we told you guys at the beginning that if you deal with depression, if you deal with resentment, if you deal with low self-esteem, if you deal with anger, unforgiveness, pettiness, if you find yourself just being petty, if you find yourself just being jealous, competitive just for no reason, these are reasons to know there's something internally. And when we're looking at the symptoms, but we're not going to treat symptoms and focus on symptoms. Tonight we're going to deal with real issues.
Right.
So if you're online, again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. But if you will share this video on your page, we promise you want to grab a pen and paper and you want to be a part of this discussion on tonight.
One question that we brought up was, how do you know that you're in hell? And just go real quick. How do we know? Because they might have missed it, because we might have been going out at that time. How do you know you're in hell?
That was a great question. And what I did say was I went back and used scriptures. That the Word of God tells us that He came to give us life, and that more abundantly. It also tells us that the blessings, the favor of the Lord maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. And then our relationship movement theme scripture is John 3:16, and at the end it says that will not perish and have everlasting life. So you know you're in hell when you see yourself dying, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, mentally. When you feel yourself stressed out all the time. I said earlier, when you're asleep but you're not getting any rest, there's no peace of mind. You're always wayward. You're always vacillating. You can't make any substantiated decisions about anything. That's hell. That's torment. And the reason we're calling it an inner demon is because if there is something that torments you saying, this is not me. This isn't who who I am. So what is it about this that's frustrating me? What is it about me that's causing me to just dislike myself?
Right.
I don't like looking in the mirror. I can't handle it when somebody gives me a compliment. There's some hell. And I said to us tonight, the hell could be going on right here in our minds.
It's the same story that we tell ourselves over and over again. If you're constantly reliving a story, if you're constantly reliving a mistake or a failure, do you know what that's like? It's like going to a restaurant and eating off a fork that everybody else has eaten off of that hasn't been washed.
Whoa.
Wow. You keep going back to the same toxic thing.
That's good.
That keeps you stuck and in the past.
And so now look at what we're saying. We're saying a lot of things. One of the things we're saying is if you keep going back to that, that's saying now somebody else has brought their issues. So now I'm not just ingesting my own hell. I've allowed somebody else to add their diseases and that unsanitary things right here. And guess what? I got my hell and now I'm taking a piece of yours too. So now where I could have been cured for this one thing, guess what? I'm having side effects of something I'm not even supposed to be carrying.
Right. And it's the same story that you tell yourself, that you're constantly reminding yourself that you're the victim. And so what it ends up doing is helping you to identify yourself as the victim instead of the victor. So the story that's not working for you, that keeps you stuck and keeps you in a place of denial, deflection,
and debate.
Right. Is the very place that we are calling hell right now.
That is excellent. I hope you guys are online. I hope you guys are online tonight. I hope you guys are sharing this. And again, we can't be ashamed or afraid to own up to the hell because it's obvious. All of us have some inner demons that we deal with. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Right. The thing to be ashamed of is when you refuse to acknowledge them, take responsibility. Because guess what we're doing tonight? What we're doing, and my mom used to have this thing that she quoted from the Bible about thou art inexcusable. I hated that because when she said it.
Go ahead, mama.
Because when she said it, she was taking away all of my, I don't have any excuses. She's saying because I've equipped you with this, and I'm calling you out. You don't have any other excuse. And so a lot of us won't watch this tonight and won't really listen because we're saying if I take the covers off, I got to face the hell in me. And I'm equipped and I'm being enlightened and empowered to get it out of me. Because we're not just going to expose it. We're going to show you how to extract it. What?
Let me just say this real quick. Tracy and Elisa, they're actually putting this in a book, and the book is called... That's what our topic is. This is just what our topic is. They're putting this in a book starting tomorrow.
So apparently, my relationship movement is releasing a book called How to Love the Hell Out of Yourself.
It's going to be a #1 New York Times bestseller.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's it now.
Should I call you Prophet Knight?
I didn't know that, okay?
Give me a second.
Okay, for y'all on Facebook, y'all didn't hear what he said. He said, I have plenty of time. I'm not doing anything else.
She broke her ankle in Rome, Italy.
Oh, my goodness.
Trying to ride a Segway.
Okay, we've recovered a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're getting ready to jump into some issues that we're calling our inner demons. And we're going to identify them. And you know what we're also going to talk about? We're going to talk about the symptoms, the indicators where you might have thought it was something. And then we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to give you tools on how to treat it. And so, you guys, it almost seems like you're getting a free class tonight, right?
That's what it sounds
like. It looks like you're getting ready to go into therapy because you're talking to people. And again, I always say this, we don't claim to know everything, but this is the field that we work in. We work in psychology, we work in communications, we work in counseling, we deal with this kind of thing. And so we're not just pulling stuff out the air and saying, this would be good to say. We're drawing on our knowledge of what we've done in church, in schools, in the community with people to
let me just also give you what the acronym for HELL actually stands for tonight.
Whoa,
it actually just hit me as I was sitting here. And so that's why I like being around these sharp people, because the Bible says iron sharpens iron. So I have to think on my feet. And so I just thought about the acronym for HELL. So what we're trying to do tonight is actually write this down. I told you to get a pen. Stuff just comes to us, and we give it to you as it comes to us. The first thing we're trying to do is get you to eliminate the hindrances.
All right. Hindrances.
Hindrances.
That's those things that keep you from having a healthy relationship. Then what we want to also get you to get rid of are the excuses.
All right.
Hindrances.
That's good.
Excuses.
Okay.
Then we want to get you to that place where you eliminate the lies.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hindrances, excuses, lies, and then lastly, limitations.
Oh,
That's
this
good right
is
there.
So we want to make sure. It just hit me as I was sitting here. Now the Lord gave that to me.
That is phenomenal.
Hindrances, excuses, lies, and limitations.
That's
We're
good
going to
stuff.
teach you how to get that out of you tonight. We're
That's
ready.
good stuff right there.
Did y'all hear
I'm due for the night
that?
now.
Did y'all hear? Listen, I'm hoping, and I'm just making sure now that this is shared on our pages. Take a second,
Share
because we're
before we
really
give you the
getting
answers.
ready to get into this. Take a second and share this video on your page
And while they're
right
doing that,
now.
I'll drink to that.
That was great.
We mentioned earlier, Elisa mentioned earlier, when we talk about medications and we talk about our symptoms and everything, when you think about Western medicine treats symptoms. It never gets to the root cause of the symptoms.
That's powerful.
But when you think about Eastern medicines do not rely on synthetic drugs to treat symptoms. They take their time, they evaluate the body, they evaluate the mind and the spirit. They get to the root cause of the symptoms.
Wow.
So tonight, we don't want to just necessarily treat the symptoms.
That is good.
We want to get to the root cause of why you're experiencing
That
hell.
is excellent.
You go, girl.
That was excellent. I hope you guys are getting this because we are on fire
Y'all better
tonight.
share this tonight. I
That
promise.
we are on fire. So we're going to jump right in. And you know, I like the way that we always kind of spin off. So you'll hear one of us and the other one kind of jumps in. That's just kind of how we work. It's how we flow. So let's talk about one hell that I know is very, very common, but it's the least talked about because it comes along with shame and guilt. But it's the hell of depression.
Yeah, that's a big
And the
one.
reason I want to talk about it is, so what happens as depression is a hell is because it almost locks you into a dimension in your mind. It's almost like you see the world in a jaded sense. You don't see things as they really are. And so what happens is some of the symptoms of depression and what causes depression a lot of times. Number one is rejection.
Yes.
Depression is caused because there was something you wanted and it got rejected. It wasn't for you. You didn't get it. It could have been a job. It could have been a man. It could have been a woman. It could have been a child. There was something that you wanted and it was rejected. They didn't want you back.
And let me just add something to that as it relates to rejection. Even sometimes there are people who are dealing with rejection from parents. Their dad wasn't there, or their mom wasn't there. And so they feel that sense of rejection from them. And so when rejection shows up again, it sort of messes with them.
That's
It brings
good.
them into an area of depression.
So rejection is one symptom of it. Disappointment
Yes.
causes depression. Somebody said, I think it was Bishop Victor Powell that I heard say this once, and it's never left me. He said, there is never disappointment without expectation.
Right.
You're not disappointed about what you don't expect. And so somewhere in life, we've had a certain kind of expectation. We expected our lives to end it up a certain kind of way. We expected ourselves to have this kind of job. By this age, we should have had this going for us. And when that didn't happen, like we felt like it should have, depression sets in. That's a symptom of depression. Grief causes depression. We lost something. And grief isn't always because we lost a loved one. And I see that more and more often. You know, a lot of people are losing people. And then even sadly, even in violent, unexpected times, their lifespan is cut short. And it jars you. That can cause depression. Grief also is a longing for something that once was.
Right.
Sometimes depression is caused because you've got stuck somewhere in a dimension. You remember when you were at your best. You remember when you were on top of the world.
Money
You remember when money was flowing, the kids were acting fine, you know, everything was going great, and then you lost the job. The kids moved away, and all of a sudden you can't enjoy the life you have right now because you're too busy looking back at your heyday. This is when I was hot. This is when I was popular. This is when, and so that causes a depression because you're saying, I lost that. What happened to that? And then that last symptom can be a sense of being overwhelmed. You're depressed because you feel like I can't do it all. It's too much for me. Too much has happened and I can't breathe. I'm suffocated. All these things cause depression.
Right. And you lack the skill set to be able to help you get through the process. The grief process is one of the processes that we are not taught how to navigate.
Wow.
We're never taught. One of the things that happens is when we go through grief and we go through loss, we're never taught how to handle that. One of the things that we do is that we deflect. We move away from it. And we put our focus somewhere else instead of accepting the process.
That's right.
Working through the process.
That's right.
And doing the work to get us on the other side of the process.
That's right.
So what ends up happening is when it comes back around, because that's what life does, life brings us our lessons back around when we don't learn our lessons, we're still ill-equipped to handle it the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time.
That's right.
So now it becomes a cycle, and we're still stuck in that cycle because we haven't learned how to navigate ourselves through it.
That's
so
right.
what ends up happening is what Elisa says, we find ourselves in a depressed state.
That's right. That's good.
That's good stuff.
And depression makes you feel as though there's nothing you can do. It makes you feel confined.
It takes away your power.
It takes away your power, and you feel, and that's where that victim mentality comes in, is because, you know, and I'll tell you why this is hell, and why this causes you to have issues with other people. When you're depressed, you feel like there's nothing you can do for me. There's nothing. People can't cheer you up. They can't shop you out of it. You know, they can't pray you out of it. They can't manipulate you out of it. There's a lot of things that can't happen because you're stuck in this place, and you're saying, let me just carry that. And Dr. T, you can speak to this. Sometimes you can hold it for so long that it becomes familiar to you, and you almost wake up and look for it. It's almost like a coat. You almost say, whoa, where's my depression? Let me, I'm trying to feel a little happy. No.
You know what I call that?
What
it's your badge of honor.
Ah.
You wear it like a badge of honor. And so you end up expecting to have that badge on, and it ends up identifying who you are.
Wow.
Y'all still on? I hadn't seen y'all make no comments.
Listen, they're listening
Depression
tonight.
is deep
I
in it.
like it. They are listening
Making sure y'all
tonight.
still on. Y'all hit that screen. Maybe
I see you guys are sharing this
on.
video. I love it. Thank you guys for sharing. This is some deep stuff. We are really serious tonight about these type of things.
And I also want to say real quick, I really appreciate.
There's the love. Thank you.
Really appreciate Manswell Peterson being on. He's actually in the hospital. His blood pressure was at 1200.
It was. I saw that.
Man.
We're so grateful. Thank you. He did say he was our unofficial other person. So thank you for being there with us tonight. So so depression, that's when we're giving you guys examples of the hell that's on the inside of us. One of the other things, and you guys probably can speak to this, what do you think about the hell of insecurity?
Oh, that's a real good one.
I'll let him talk about insecurity.
Insecurity is a real big monster that a lot of people have some issues with. And I really want us to really talk about this one tonight on a serious note, insecurities. One of the things, I'll go biblical for a second. One of the things that you want to make sure that you do is get your authenticity, if you will, from God.
That's right.
Don't allow people to identify who you are. God has already spoken in His Word who you are. But again, until we start to believe what God says about us, we'll start comparing ourselves to other people.
That's right.
We'll start comparing ourselves to the girl he left us for, all that type of stuff. And insecurity will just bring you further down. You want to start saying this, you'll start saying to yourself, well, I wonder why he won't marry me, or I wonder why he dated her and not me. Those are insecurities that really need to be dealt with. Now, one thing I always also like to say is, I used to call it self-esteem, but I really call it now God-esteem. You want to make sure that you have God-esteem, because if you got God who's directing and navigating your life, you'll have great self-esteem.
That's right.
And I really want you to understand, when you start to feel good about yourself, nobody else can make you feel bad.
Nobody else.
That insecurity will slowly leave your life when you start seeing yourself through the eyes of God and not through the eyes of men.
That is excellent. That's excellent. I was thinking some of the symptoms of insecurity, because a lot of times we don't see ourselves as being insecure because we're looking at the symptoms. We're looking at, and so here's some symptoms of insecurity. Judgmental people are insecure.
Wow.
We don't like to admit that, but when you find somebody that is very critical of somebody else, and even if it's you, and when I say you, I'm talking about us. If we look at ourselves and find ourselves overly critical and judgmental, and let's hear what that sounds like. That's like saying Tracy goes after a new job and she gets a new position, and the only thing I can say is, why would she try to do that? She knows she has this to deal with, and she has a husband, and then she has a practice or something. Oh, that's a lot for her to try to do. We don't know. That's insecurity, but the symptoms of it is I'm critical. I'm overly critical, and I'm judgmental. That's like sitting in church, and you're tired of the people that's always up front, However, you're not doing anything, but it's easy to say, oh, I'm just so tired of her, I wish she'll sit down, or why they doing that song again? But now in all the years you've been there, not once have you lended a hand to do anything. These things are symptoms, and a lot of times we have to look at ourselves and say, what? You're trying to say I'm insecure? I'm saying that you could be insecure if you are. Here's another one. When you mask fear of rejection, that's insecurity. You're masking it because what you're really saying is, I'm insecure, but I really have a need for acceptance.
Right.
I'm only insecure because I really want them to like me. So because I don't know if they will like me, because somewhere on the inside of me, the demon in me says I'm not likable. The demon, the war on me is saying there's some things about me I don't like about myself. So it's easier than what I'm going to do is find a way for other people not to like me because I want it, but I don't want it.
Right. Let me say something real quick. Since we're talking about this on a serious note, I run into people all the time who say to me, man, I like what you guys are doing.
This is good.
And here, at the same time, you'll tell it to me, but you won't say it as you're watching the video to hit like or whatever the case may be. And I'm saying also, to take it a little further, when you put up posts and you're worrying about, well, who didn't like it, who didn't share it, and there are people on here, and I'll say this, go a little further with this even more, there are people you'll like someone else's share who says the same thing that somebody else said, but you have something against that person. That's a sign of insecurity as well, that you can't rejoice when others, you read the stuff, but you won't share it, you won't like it. And it's not about a person, well, for me personally, I don't care if you like it or not. And I don't mean in a negative sense. I'm saying I don't write it to get likes. I write it because I've been called to do that. And I like to share, and I'm going to be supportive of whoever. So if you can't support other people, that's a sign of insecurity as well.
And so the opposite of that is, how do you recognize a secure person? Somebody that does not have a problem saying, listen, not only do I love what you're doing, let me know the next time you're going to do it. Let me support you. Let me support you guys. You can always tell when you post something and you see somebody share it, or they even go in there and make a comment, way to go. You know, it's good. And what happens is, and we can even say this is biblical. I know the word of God says that if you're ashamed to claim me before men, then I'm going to have an issue with me trying to claim you. And so a lot of times we run into these secret supporters. They're like the SS, the secret supporters. They're the ones, and I know I'm speaking. I had a conversation with a friend earlier today and they were saying to me, you know, it's funny. I get these people that call me or send me inboxes that says, oh, sweetie, I love what you're doing, and you know, God is going to open doors for you. But then when they go back to the stuff that they're doing, they never press like, they never share, they never put an encouraging word. Why are you supporting me in secret? And this person said to me, it almost makes me believe the people that you tell your real feelings about me to are maybe are friends with me, and you can't really say what you want to say because now they got to look at you funny. All of these are signs, my friend, of insecurity.
Yeah.
Right.
That's insecurity.
And then sometimes people can't support you publicly because of what they said about you privately.
Absolutely.
That's the other part of it.
Absolutely.
The other part is being able to knowing when to walk away. When your expectations are not being met.
That's good.
Are you secure enough within yourself to say, you know what? My expectations of our friendship, of our relationship, whatever that may be, are not being met. I'm secure enough in who I am to not limit myself to your insecurities.
That's good.
So I'm walking away.
That's good. You know what? Because we're empowering tonight, I'm going to go back to depression. Looking at it, we have like 20 minutes. We want to make sure that we are giving you guys tools. So we're going to go back to depression. We said that one of the symptoms of depression is rejection. Well, how do you combat rejection? You have to say to yourself, because we want to make sure that we don't call out the things only that you're doing. We want to make sure that you have tools. What happens is that you have to say, first off, everybody won't like everything that I'm doing.
They won't.
Everybody won't accept me for who. It's great that we take a stand. I think more importantly, you have to say to yourself, I'm comfortable being me. I'm okay with who I am. What happens is when you start building yourself up, and I know we keep going back to the word of God, but it says sometimes you have to encourage yourself and you have to speak to yourself because what happens is, we all know this, the more, I was talking to my daughter today about one of these guys that got famous off of a bloop. You know how we have these Insta stars that they do something, all of a sudden everybody notices them, and then they can get online and get 1.2K people joining them that quick. But then what are the people saying? When you decide to be secure to yourself, you might attract the audience of supporters, but you're also going to attract the audience of people that's going to say, why is he on there? What is he doing? He's not. So somewhere, so that you won't always get depressed every time somebody doesn't support you. I see the love. Thank you. You have to start encouraging yourself. I'm okay with me first.
But what is the motive for you doing what you're doing? Are you doing it because you want the fame and notoriety and the acceptance of others?
That's good.
Or are you doing it because it is an intrinsic motivation that you're seeking?
That's right.
When you try to seek extrinsic, yeah,
right.
I need some more caffeine. When you try to seek that, then what's going to end up happening is you're going to fall in depression because quite naturally, not all of your needs are going to be met by others.
There you go. Which brings us to the next point. How do you combat depression? Realistic expectations.
Exactly.
Some of us are way out there with what we expect. We can't expect every single time you do it this one time. It doesn't matter if you've rehearsed for it. There are some times where things like tonight, we had, as prime example, we had our notes together, we were here, we had the setup, and beyond our control, the technical difficulty, it kicked us offline. What we could have done was get agitated, get an attitude, post a list, and we'll try this again tomorrow. But we decided, we made a decision that this is what we're going to do, and we didn't let that deflect us from our real purpose. That's important.
Yeah, got to do that.
That's important.
That's good. Insecurity, again, I think that's one of the things that we probably need to continue to talk about. Maybe not so much tonight, but insecurity is a big issue with a lot of people, insecure with who you are, and we don't realize that it's going to come out of you one way or the other.
Well, let's address some of that before we move on. Being critical, how do you overcome being critical when you find yourself, and you just, again, we said this is one of those transparent moments where we have to look inwardly.
And non-supportive.
And non-supportive.
Yes.
When you see yourself, because first of all, you have to think about it. What you put yourself in the position of, what would happen if I actually decided to go after my dreams? How disappointed would I be if nobody, and I look back over the people I've helped and the things that I've done, if nobody bothered with me? Sometimes we do things with no regard to how it might feel with somebody else. So one of the ways to not be insecure is insecurity has its roots in selfishness.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so what we don't want to admit is my insecurity is about me. In myself, I'm not secure. And so what happens is, because I'm not secure, we talked about those D's, so now I want to deflect. I asked a question earlier on Pastor Dawn Jones, Crossing Bridges, and I'm giving her a shameless plug. If you have not found her page, Pastor Dawn, she's a great supporter of my relationship movement and myself personally. Crossing Bridges, find it. She's finding what happens when we can't cross over to the healthier us. Why can't we? What's that fear that keeps us from going? So sometimes what happens in our lives is I asked a question on her show tonight. I said, what is it about us they're talking about that makes us find the worst in people, that makes us criticize people? What is it? And one of the speakers said, well, what happens is it keeps us from having to look at ourselves. Yeah. It keeps us from having to say, it's easy for me to look at Lawrence and say, what is he doing with this show? Why he always got to dress up all the time and be sharp? Because maybe what's really happening is there's something I want to break out and wear, but I hadn't hyped myself up, or I don't have anybody, or I haven't developed the self-esteem and the security on my own to just get out there and do it. So then it's just easier for me to find somebody. And I hate to say this, it's an old cliche, but, well, I'm going to say it, but it's always hating and jealousy is really flattery turned inside out. Because listen, you can't hate on somebody you're not watching.
That's right.
You can't be critical of somebody if you're not watching every move, engaging everything they do. You know, it's a lot. I saw a post once that talked about, listen, I know you're out there and not liking, but I still notice you're still following me. I still notice you're not blocked. So what is it about us? And we're being internal. What is it about us that makes us look at somebody do a good thing and say, wow, you know what? I have resources that could benefit them.
Right.
But it's something I want to do, but you're not doing it. What is it? So look on the inside first of all and figure that out before you can. Let's not worry so much about what the other person is doing. Let's worry about why we can't support that.
Which means I would have to focus on myself and my issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which takes you back to the to the fact that if I don't have dreams and goals and aspirations for myself, it's so much easier for me to hate on what you have.
Absolutely.
Because I haven't spent the time with myself, getting to know myself, loving myself, so that I can push myself forward.
That's great. And you know what? And since we're going to talk one more time about insecurity, I said that insecurity has its roots in rejection. One of the things that has to happen is somewhere there's a little imp on the inside of you saying that if I'm rejected, that means I'm not good enough. But can I help you? Do you know how many people apply for a job, the same job every day, and they can only choose one person? Do you know how many people go after Idol or go after, these game shows? There can only be one winner. Just because that person was rejected does not mean they weren't good enough. I see the love. That means they weren't good enough in and of themselves. So one of the reasons that we're so insecure and critical of people is because we've taken rejection to the next level. We've decided that
taken rejection personally.
We've decided that if that's just like Girl Scouts. Do you want to buy some Girl Scouts? Oh, baby, no thank you. You rejected me, so you don't want to support. You might, and you know what? You might not even know. I might have a condition that doesn't allow me to eat that, or maybe my finances are in trouble today, and you don't have a clue about that. But automatically, you make that about yourself.
But it goes back to insecurity.
It goes back, and I'm showing you, and that's why we're exposing it. If we don't know what insecurity looks like, we won't be able to recognize it in ourselves, and so that's one of our big demons and the hell that we have on us is insecurity. And again, if you guys make sure we have a Facebook page, visit our Facebook page. You guys can comment, send us inboxes. If there's some things you want us to address, I can promise you we will get to it. There's something else I want to bring up, and as a hell on the inside of us, and I know you can speak about. There's something called self-sabotaging behaviors, and I'm going to be transparent, and it's going to be about Lawrence. He don't even know he got this shot coming. One self-sabotaging behavior, and it's easy to find. It's easy to talk about. Let's deal with the surface one first before I drop the bomb. Let's deal with the surface self-sabotaging behavior. One self-sabotaging behavior is, let's say, self-medication. Say, for instance, Tracy hurt her ankle, and they gave her some feel-good drugs that really are to kind of take her sensories away from the pain so that she can have a normal day. Well, she's noticed that when she takes this medicine, it makes her feel calm. She feel a little confident, feel a little gibbly. She got a lot of stuff going on. She likes that feeling. And so long after her ankle has healed, she uses this as a crutch, and she says, where's that pill that made me feel like that? Because so now every time stress comes in her life, she reaches for that pill.
Some of y'all relate to that with weed.
With weed and with alcohol. And that's that's really one of the biggest self-sabotaging behaviors. Those are the obvious ones. We reach for a drink because, I just need a drink. It mellows me out. It's a way, like we talked about, to deflect the bigger issue. And so those are self-medicating. That's self-sabotaging because you're really hurting yourself because you're burying down the real issue. But now I'm going to talk about a self-sabotaging behavior that's not so obvious. One of the things that I struggle and have struggled a long time with is procrastination. This is me being transparent about me. We can't help other people if we're not. I see the love. So let me talk about me. This chick struggles with procrastination. What I would like to say is, I would like to say that the reasons why I don't get things done are valid. I would like to say, and don't get me wrong, there are some things that we just have to do, and we can't. There are certain things we can't do. But I'm talking about things that have been on my to-do list forever, and I just say, I'm going to get to it. I would love to say it was because, this particular day, I was going to do it and my head started hurting, or this particular day, I forgot I had something else to do. I would love to say those things. Well, one day, a couple of years, maybe a year ago, Lawrence Knight made me so mad, I wanted to drive to his house and throw something at him. He don't even know this. I think you remember now. He called me one day and had the audacity to ask me, "Are you afraid of success?" I said, "Excuse me?" And he said, "I think you got a fear. You got a fear of success." And why would you be? And then he was kind of like a bully with it. That's what kind of threw me off. He a little aggressive when he started. He acted humble, but he a little aggressive. And he was like, "Why would you be afraid of being rich? Why would you be afraid of being successful? That's just a fear." And I was trying to say, what do you, I was offended. I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he was was like, well,
he put you all in your
he
feelings,
just put me all in my feelings. He was like, well, you sitting around here and you're talented and you're smart and you got these resources and you doing nothing with them. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I am doing things. And I was, trying to get defensive. I was trying to name the stuff I was doing. And it was almost like he said, yeah, not that. That's not what I'm talking about. And he was like, you just keep procrastinating and putting it off. And I told you we should do this and you wouldn't do it.
She got about 5 books now that need to be going to print. Just to validate. She got at least 5 books. Tell her right, Miss Buell. She got about 5 books sitting in the doggone corner right now. Now keep going what you're saying.
We're being transparent. And I had to realize, well, let me tell you a maturity moment. And we need to have more of those, a maturity moment. I had a maturity moment where when I stopped fighting him, see, we're not specialists on this stuff because we just read them. We lived them too. When I realized that the first thing I wanted to do was deflect. I tried to talk about, well, what about the stuff you're doing? I tried to deflect the conversation. The next thing, I tried to deny, no, I didn't. And then the last thing that I tried to do was debate him. Well, when I was trying to do this, and then I was sick one while, and he didn't care. I was like, what?
My cable was out. Give me all kind of excuses.
The storm took my lights and stuff, but and he was like not hearing it. Where I had a mature moment was, I thought about, what if something happens to me and all of those things, and he said something else. What about all of the people that could be impacted because you're sitting around afraid to be successful? Wow. And I've never seen a people, and I'm talking to the choir, preaching to the choir, but I've never seen people in this hour, myself included, that don't have a problem with being rejected. Oh, I'm used to people hating on me. Oh, I ain't worried about them talking about me. Oh, they didn't press. I don't care. But then when it comes to being successful, whoa. The first time they made me go live and I had to say a commercial by myself, I almost fainted. I'm talking about, I'm looking at a camera. I thought I was going to die but it pushed me. I had a maturity moment where I had to say what he really brought to light. And it's funny. I didn't just call him the enlightenment specialist for nothing on a whim. There was an aha moment because what I had to see was procrastination, and I'm helping somebody. I promise you I'm helping somebody tonight. Sure. Procrastination is a self-sabotaging behavior. It's self-sabotaging because what it's doing, it's deterring you from your ultimate purpose. It's keeping you somewhere in your mind. You're telling yourself, well, if I don't do this, hopefully somebody else will do it or they'll just forget about it and I'll have to do it. You're sabotaging yourself.
You can't procrastinate unless there is a goal that's been set.
That's good.
Think about it. It's not called procrastination if you just go on everyday life.
Right.
But it's called procrastination because there is an end result that you're looking for.
That's wonderful.
So if you've got the end goal in mind, if you're saying, I'm in this place, I'm uncomfortable, I'm tired of feeling this way, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, then the procrastination comes when you're not willing to do the work.
That's good. And that's not just in stuff that we're supposed to do. That can be in relationships. Mm-hmm. You can be sick and tired of this relationship. I'm giving this relationship 3 months, and you can set goals, and if these things aren't met, and these are big things, I'm out of here. But then you think, so what I'm going to do is the 3 Ds. I'm going to deny there's an issue. Mm-hmm. Well, never mind. I'm going to deflect it and look at something. I'll just focus on the kids and not the relationship, or I'm going to just debate it. Well, I'm only like that. He's only doing that because I did this. All of those things, they talk about the hell, not in the other person, but that's on the inside of you. And procrastination says, there's something I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. There's something I can do. There's something I should do. But guess what? I won't do it. And that's the taking responsibility part.
That's good. Y'all, I'm not saying anything else.
I want to bring up something, Dr. T, and this is going to be a little...
Wait, I thought y'all were talking about... Yeah.
Okay. And it's not to you, but I know... And we're all friends, and so we kind of know each other. And see, I'm good at. They know I'm the wild card. I'll just call a spade about stuff. I know.
She get it from her grandma.
And my grandmother is there. Thank you, Granny. She raised me just like this. I'm going to talk about the symptom, and then I'm going to tell you what the hell is. The symptom is liars or lying. That's the hell in some of us. You just can't be truthful about things. Somebody asked you, how did y'all show do? Oh, millions of people joined in. What? No, they did. We had 280 millions. Where did you get this suit from? Oh, it was imported from China. You got that down the street. Come on now. So sometimes, or we just lie. Or, well, where were you today? I went to the store. Listen, if you went somewhere, say it. But there's something, the hell in us, that won't let us be truthful. And I figured out what the culprit is.
What is that?
Manipulation. Manipulation.
Really?
Do you know why? When I lie to somebody, that means I'm taking away their ability to have the make the determination about how they want to feel. I'm making them feel some kind of way because I'm shedding only a half truth to them. I'm manipulating them. The hell in us is the manipulator in us. Lying is an indicator of manipulation. I've never seen, that's me, that's being in a relationship. Men, let's just use a man, and he doesn't want to be with this girl anymore. He doesn't want it anymore.
Right.
But he won't tell her. She keeps saying to him, you know, what's our problem? No, we fine. He's still dating other people, still doing anything else.
Right.
But just the manipulation is, but if I keep lying to her and letting her know everything's okay, what you're doing to that person is you're changing how they really could feel the right things and leave you. But because you're trying to give them a jaded sense of what's going on, you're trying to, you know, skew their perspective. That's manipulation. And manipulation happens on all tiers. We can lie even to ourselves about things because we're trying to talk ourselves into stuff that really isn't true. You know you don't like that. You know you're not happy with that, but you're just gonna lie. I mean, it's okay. You know what? I remember the other day. No, you don't. That's manipulation. Why is that dangerous?
That's dangerous because we end up not being truthful with ourselves, and it continues to spiral downward. Eventually, you will lose yourself to the lie that you have to keep covering up.
Whoa. You will lose yourself to the lie that you keep covering up. That is the hell in us. What happens is when we stop manipulating a person, that means we have to allow them the freedom to choose and to do what it is they want to do. Right. And you know, and even the word of God, and we always refer back to it because it's our foundation, God gives us free will. So then who am I? If he says to this day, if it seems evil to you, because it might not, then you choose. He's saying to you, you get to choose. And so when we manipulate, we're taking away a person's choice. We're saying, I'm going to lie to you and I'll only show you this side because I want you to choose this action, and now I'm manipulating. That's hell, and the hell in us, and we're creating that hell for somebody else.
For those who came on late, the acronym for hell?
Yes, good point.
Hindrances, excuses, lies, and limitations.
One more time. Give that to us one more time.
Hindrances, hindrance, HINDRANCES. Lies, y'all all know how to spell that. Excuses. I was always taught excuses are only good for those who make them. And then the last one was limitations.
That's good.
Got to get the hell out of you in order to have a healthy relationship. That's what we're all about tonight.
Well,
what's the last thing? What's the last? No, we got
one more.
We got kicked off a couple times.
We got kicked off. Okay, listen. I thought we were bringing it in.
Last one.
So once again, if you guys are joining us late and didn't get to share this, even if you do it later, now that you know what this show has been about, I promise you, you're going to want to share this with some people that you know. You're going to want to share it on your page and make sure that people have come to this to figure out, how do I love the hell out of myself? A lot of times, it's easier. And you know what's crazy to me? Because I got to deal with this. Why can we accept and tolerate the hell in other people, but we can't embrace the ones in our, like, we don't know how to get that out of ourselves? What is that? So, you know, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is, the last one is self-deprecating behavior. That is when, and a lot of us, and I think sometimes I've seen this in guys more so than women, that try to make it a little humorous, but they're really saying something negative about themselves. Boy, you don't want me to do that because, you know, I'll mess up every time. Or, you know, I know I don't need to be over that because I can never get nothing right on
Which goes back to what you said earlier, identifying and understanding low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem has so many facets to it that it's not just somebody talking negative about themselves. Right. Years ago, you would think of somebody having low self-esteem as somebody who wouldn't look you in the eye. Right. But nowadays, because we're in the selfie and the likes and the shares and all of this, we get our instant gratification from our cell phones. That's what we look for. We want the likes. We want the shares. And we were actually watching 60 Minutes the other night. That was interesting. And 60 Minutes, there's a study that showed that actually the people who make the apps on our phones, they create those apps with an addiction component in those programs.
Wow.
So that when you put
That's
your cell
powerful.
phone down, and you try to you post a selfie, 10 minutes later you want to see how many likes you got. It's that instant gratification. It is the pleasure principle in your brain. And so what ends up happening is that we look for that instant gratification in every single facet of our lives.
That's good.
And so when we don't get it, and we all understand as adults, well, some of those who are more seasoned than others in our adulthood, we understand that good things come to those who wait.
Okay.
But
that new generation got to be right now.
It's all microwave now.
That's right.
And so they don't understand. They lack the skill set to be able to work through the process. How do I get myself out of where I am? How do I work myself into a different and a new and improved me? It's not about that. It is about how many likes can I get? And if I don't get the number of likes, what is wrong, with me?
That's right.
And then the other part, you find out that sometimes people will have their names tagged in something, and if it's something positive, they're going to go back to all day just looking at it.
Yep.
They complimented me. Oh, they complimented me. But at the same time, if there's nothing on there that's got a compliment for you, you have an issue. And that's, again, another sign of insecurity. That's a sign of low self-esteem.
That's right.
And the truth of the matter is you have to deal with the root cause of all of these things. And I always say to people, a lot of this stems from what has happened in our childhood from one way or the other. And we just have not gotten past it and really dealt with it. And I think that's one of the main
I like
issues.
what you just said. You know, one of the reasons why this title came up is, I think it was yesterday, and I don't watch TV. I have like 3 shows a year that I might tune into. I am a nerd to my soul. I just like to read. But the kids must have left the TV on the other morning, and Dr. Phil was on. Well, what was on the show was there was an older guy and his wife, and she brought him on the show. She was literally in tears. And this guy, he was very staunch. He was kind of sitting up. He had this, this mean exterior, and he just kind of had an attitude. And you can tell he was a little buttsy, as they say. And Dr. Phil, he was asking the wife, why are you here? She was like, listen, my husband is verbally abusive. He's mean. I think he's racist. I think he's, he has all these issues. And she was just saying he's condescending, and he's critical. And she had all of these things she was saying about him. He said, well, why are you so sad? She said, because I still want to be with him. And he said,
she got the issue.
What?
Yeah.
And so here she is, and she's over there. She's brought him because she was almost saying, fix him so I can keep him. And he was standing over there saying, I hear what she was saying, but I don't care. And so, Dr. Phil was asking the guy, he was like, do you hear the things your wife is saying about you? Is it true? I mean, it is true. I don't like certain races because I just think they're needy. And what about us? And she was like, do you talk? Well, she doesn't do this right. Somebody needs to tell her. And he was like, do you even care that people see you? I don't care how they... And he said, Dr. Phil looked at him and said, no, I think you do care. And tell me about your childhood. It was what Lawrence just said. And he went back to his childhood and he exposed the fact that when he was younger, his family didn't really want him around. So they made up a dilemma for him. They accused him of being an alcoholic or doing drugs and had him shipped off, even though he never touched the thing. And he was shipped off to live somewhere else, almost like in a boot camp, because they didn't want him there. And so he developed this defense, and he was angry at them, but he never got a chance, because what he decided was, I'm just going to take this as positive, and I'm going to make this make me better, and I'm not going to, all this teaching me is not to tolerate. And Dr. Phil said, no, you never had a chance. You were accused. An injustice was done to you, and you never got a chance to say to the accuser, fix this. You did me wrong. Right. And so now here's this woman, and he told the woman, he said, tell me about your childhood. What happened to her? She was raped at a young age. She was molested. She became real promiscuous, and the first guy, and she was used to a person that talked mean to her, and this guy comes along who she thinks he's a hero because he's not afraid of what anybody says, and he talks hard, but he's going to protect her, and they got together. What made me think about this episode tonight was the fact that Dr. Phil looked at him and said, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm not sending you guys to couples therapy. I'm not sending you to marriage class. I'm sending you individually to go get some help internally, because there's some things going on in you. And what happens, you could divorce each other, but all you're going to do is take that same issue to somebody else and make them miserable. And do you know what happened to the guy? He broke down in tears. He said it was his first time in 40-something years that anybody had not just confronted him, but gave him tools to fix something, to say somebody did you wrong. And you know what he told him? And I said, we need to get on Dr. Phil. He said, because you're worth the investment. You're worth it. He said, you matter, and you should have been treated better.
Wow.
When is the last time, I'm getting into my empowerment phase here. When is the last time you gave yourself a break? And I'm talking to you guys that are listening. You give yourself so much of a hard time. You talk about the things you didn't get done. You talk about, you're critical about all. You can look and see what you didn't get done in the day. You take your children's failures as your own. You take what didn't happen, right at you say, that's my fault. My son, he's not doing this. That must have been me. We take all of these burdens that nobody assigned to us. But when was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, you know what, I'm not that bad. You know what, I do have some things on the inside of me, but I've decided to address them, because guess what? I'm worth the investment. It's something about me that's worth it, because there's some good in me. Exactly. Number one, because you're the king's kid, there's some good in you. But number two is because you were brought into this world to add value. Your life adds value. You being here, you could be a school teacher, and every day all you do is walk by and speak or embrace a child or a mentor or, somebody that just is always nice to people. Right. You don't know how you're impacting somebody else. So why is it important to get rid of the hell in us? Because the good part in us is going to affect somebody else.
Well, I was going to give them some homework.
Oh, wow. Let's go.
Is there anything you want to say before I give them the homework?
I'm good.
All right. So here are 7 things I want you to think about. Number 1, focus on the things that you have control over.
Wow. That's good.
The way I want you to do this, I want you to draw a circle. And in the middle of the circle, I want you to write the word me. On the outside, I want you to write the word the world. Inside the circle are the things that you can control. You.
That's good.
Outside of the circle is the world. You can't control that.
You can't control
Inside of the circle, write some things that you have control over. I have control over my emotions. I have control over my actions.
That's right.
I have control over my thoughts. I have control over my feelings. I have control over my reactions.
That's right.
And then outside, where the world is, what are some things that you don't have control over? Well, I don't have control over the economy.
Nope.
I don't have control over the weather. I don't have control over others. And then it will help you to see that the things that you should focus on are the things that you actually have control over. I'm a visual learner. So that's one of the things that I do. Number 2, celebrate success. One reason that we find that people suffer from low self-esteem is that they're always looking at other people's successes, but they fail to look at the things that they've accomplished themselves.
Good. That's right.
We all have things that we've messed up on, that we failed on, that we want to just forget ever happened.
Yes.
But there are also some things that we need to celebrate because we've crossed some bridges, because we've had some mountaintop experiences, because we've done some things that are good. We fail to focus on those things.
That's good.
So what we end up focusing on are our failures and our mistakes, which end up sending us into a state of depression.
There you go.
So what I want you to do is I want you to write out those success stories. Begin telling yourself and reminding yourself of when you lost those 20 pounds, or when you got that job that you didn't think you were going to get, or when you got that phone call saying, congratulations, you just did this. When you bought your house, when you bought your car, when you brought your child into the world.
Or when you had the strength to let that situation go.
I was about to say that. When you had the strength to walk away.
That's good.
That is a success story. Number 3, embrace your emotions. Don't deny them.
Wow.
Elisa talked about denial.
That's right.
One of the things that we always try to do is deflect our emotions.
Right.
You have to embrace your emotions. In order to control your emotions, you have to embrace them. You have to understand them, and you have to control them. And as long as you're deflecting and moving away from them, you will never be able to control them.
Never. That's right.
Number 4, women do this. I don't know about you ladies, but sometimes a good cry in the shower helps.
It helps, people. I'm a witness. I cry.
Take the time to cry and vent. Stop trying to be that strong woman.
Right.
Sometimes you just need a good cry, and the best place to do it is in a shower. Take that long, hot shower and have that good cry.
That's good.
Give yourself permission to cry and vent. You'll be amazed at it in that moment of release. It's really a release.
It is.
And you don't give yourself permission to do that when you walk around with that badge of honor like we talked about.
That's right.
That your story becomes your identification and that badge of honor that you carry around. Mm-hmm. It's okay to break down. Okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to vent. If 4-letter words come out, let them come on out. It's okay.
Get it.
Every experience has a lesson.
That's right.
What lesson have your experiences taught you?
Wow.
That's right.
Write them down.
Write them down.
Write them
because
down.
if you don't learn the lesson, what ends up happening?
You're going to repeat.
You're going to repeat it. You will get a retest. Number 6, change your perception. Mm-hmm. Change it how you look at things.
That's right.
When you begin to change it, how you look at things, what you look at begins to change.
That's right.
And last but not least, love yourself enough to let go.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful.
You are worth the investment.
You are worth it.
So love yourself enough to finally let go.
Now, as Mary would say, let tonight be the last night you cry your last tear.
Guys, listen. We are so glad that you joined us. I said earlier that this was probably one of the most informative.
Yes,
personally, I feel like this is probably, one that we had that I think reaches past. Thank you guys for the love that reaches past the surface. My relationship movement is about fostering healthy relationships, not just with each other, but with us. And so sometimes we have to take on subjects that sound a little controversial. They give you a little dissonance because they make you say, I don't like the way that feels, but we're helping. We're digging beneath the surface, and we're doing our part. So tonight, we hope you've learned how to love the hell out of yourself. And when you do that, guess what? You'll learn how to embrace somebody else. So that part comes later. And I want to give a shout out to LaQuarta. I saw that my little goddaughter, she has a new business, and she shared this. She said she's going into a venture about teaching people about themselves. And she said when she saw this topic, listen, they're taking a break away from worrying about somebody else, and they're looking internal, because that's where it is. It starts here. And we always talk about this movement starts where? With yourself.
Put
so
the mask
thank
on
you.
yourself
Put
first.
it on yourself first. Thank you guys for joining us.
Appreciate
Any last words of wisdom?
I'm good. Appreciate y'all.
Well, guys, look for this on YouTube. Look for this. We'll be posting it again. We'll be sharing it. And if it blessed you, it won't hurt to let us know. We would love to hear from you guys. We would love to know.
Also.
Yeah, let us know. We would love to hear how this, even if you send us an inbox, we would just love to hear that this thing blessed you guys.
Join the movement if you're not a part of it.
Join My Relationship Movement. Go to our website, www.myrelationshipmovement.com. And if you need, shameless plug, a little, something to help you know that this is what you need to be and this is who you need to be, there's a shirt that we have. And again, we apologize for the people that didn't get theirs on time. We're going to work all of that out, and we're going to make sure we give you double for your trouble.
Exactly.
But we have shirts that say not this year. From this point on, my peace matters a little too much to me. That shirt says not this year. And then we have a shirt that says I am worth the investment, because guess what? You are.
That's what we close out with.
All right, guys. Until next time, thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.